Hello, I'm Stephen Wood from Easons.com, and you know it's Christmas when the new novel has just arrived from Cecelia Ahern. Cecelia, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Novel number
12.
Number 12. It's called The Marble Collector, just published by HarperCollins. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's a father-daughter story about a father and daughter. The main character, she's a young woman who comes across a collection of marbles in her father's possessions, in his private possessions. And they've been really carefully catalogued in an inventory. She realises that they're extremely valuable, but that there's a part of them that are missing. And she goes on this kind of small little mission to try and find the missing marbles. But as she goes on this mission, she's discovering more about her father. She realises he's had this kind of secret life that he's kept away from his family. And so it becomes more about learning about who this man is instead of searching for marbles. And as I suppose she goes on this journey, she's learning a lot about herself. Why he is the way he is has made her the way she is. So everything kind of unravels, and it's different story for me. It's told from two perspectives, from both her father's perspective and her perspective, and so it's two kind of fresh voices, and I really loved writing this.
I was going to say, because it's a very different story from The Year I Met You, which was the book that came out last year. Where do you get your inspiration for your stories? When do you carry around a little notebook in your notebag? Are you always kind of taking notes, always scribbling down things, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, I do have a book of ideas. But I think I don't really carry it around with me. What I do is I kind of email myself. If I get an idea, I email, and then what I do is I write it out afterwards just to remind myself. It's amazing how you think it's the best idea ever and then you forget it 5 minutes later. So I do that, but this idea came from the expression, I've lost my marbles, and it's something that I'm always saying to my daughter because I really have. I've really lost my marbles. I think, when you have a busy head, I'm just doing ridiculous, stupid things. Putting the sugar in the fridge and the milk in the cupboard, and I'll say to her, "Oh, Mommy's lost your marbles," and that expression just one day I thought, I want to write a story about a woman who actually has lost her marbles, who actually has to go on a journey to actually find them, and through doing that finds herself. And it began as a short story to go in my collection of short stories, and it just felt so much bigger because the more I thought about it and the more I delved into the marble world, I just felt it was such a beautiful place to kind of set a story.
Yeah, it's a really unique kind of take on it. From your own point of view, when you're looking to pick up a book and give something a read, what do you look for in a book?
I never read the back because I always think it gives it away, and not even give it away, but even with my own, it kind of talks about, and there's so much more to that book than what is on the back. You know, it's very hard to sum up a book, but I do read the first page, and if I like the writing in the first few lines, and I don't know what, it just has to speak to me. I suppose it has to move me, or it has to be a really good first line. I love a good first line, and that's what will pull me.
Does word of mouth play? Do friends' recommendations kind of play into that, or are you very much kind of your own kind
I'm
of?
I'm a selfish kind of reader. I like to discover things myself, and I think sometimes the more things are pushed in my face, the more I'm like, no. But I like to find things like little, I consider them little jewels, little treasures that I haven't heard about, and I think books speak to you. That's what I love about book stories. When you're walking down the aisles, one will jump out at you, and it's almost like they're waving at you to say, read me, read me. In the books you kind of least expect to be something that you'll enjoy, read a book. And picking
up a surprise is always something it's always
absolutely
brilliant. And speaking of recommendations, as we always say, we love books here at Easons. Is there anything that you've recently read or that you're planning on reading that you can recommend to somebody?
I just finished a book called A Man Called Ove, which I absolutely loved, by Frederick Backman. And that was a beautiful, funny, sweet, moving story. And there's another, my favourite of this year was The Peculiar Life of a Lonely Postman. And absolutely, it's so clever and beautifully written. It's a novella and it's kind of fable-like. And the one I'm reading at the moment is Grief. Grief is a thing with
Max Porter book,
and I'm loving that. It's like a fable again. It's a novella.
It's an award-winning kind of a long poem kind of thing.
Exactly. It's beautiful. I mean, you read it in half an hour, but I'm savouring it.
Many of you might know that Cecelia has just recently added another string to her bow. Tell us about your exciting project for next year.
Yes, I've written my first young adult novel, and it's called Flawed, and it's going to be in March or April of next year. And there's a series, there's 2 of them. So the first is called Flawed and the second is called Perfect. And it's set in a world or a country, it's a modern day story, not dystopia, it's just set in a country where imperfection is not tolerated. And if you make a mistake, then the government brand you flawed and they put an F on you, they sear it on your body and in one of the 6 places that they can. and you're forced to live under separate rules in this society. And it's about a young teenager who is perfect, who wants to be perfect. Grade A student, has everything going for her, and she makes a decision which kind of changes the course of her life. She becomes branded, and it's about her trying to survive in a world that considers her imperfect. And I think it's a lot of thing that people strive for, and there's a lot of pressure, particularly on teenagers, everybody, to be perfect. And so I absolutely loved writing that book. It just raced out of me.
So it's a whole new kind of book world for you to get into. Very exciting.
It is, and I never thought, oh, I want to write a young adult book, what will I write? I just came up with this idea, and of course the powers that be said, well, it's YA. And I was like, oh really, why is it different? It's not different to me, it's just the character's 17 years old, and I mean, I think it's for everybody, but yes, it's being branded. It's being branded YA.
So you've been dragged into that world.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye out for that next year. In the meantime, The Marble Collector has just been published by HarperCollins. Cecelia Ahern, thank you so much for coming to see us today.
Thank you very much.
Available in all stores and on easons.com, and we'll see you again soon.